Earth. It's a mysterious but wonderful place, and has been for millions of years. Many creatures have come and gone, and gained a place in the history of this planet. Today's video will revolve around the history of the Mesozoic era, the rise of the dinosaurs, and what the world looked like when these ancient reptiles ruled the land, the skies, and the oceans. So sit back and enjoy the journey. Welcome to the rise of dinosaurs. Let's start at the beginning, going 252 million years back in time, back to the beginning of the Mesozoic era, also known as the early Triassic period. The early Triassic period was a time when the world was recovering from the Permian-Triassic mass extinction event, which wiped out 95% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrate species. Therefore, the global climate was characterized by extreme heat and aridity. The world was shaped by one assembled supercontinent known as Pangaea, which included almost all of Earth's continental plates. Because of the extreme heat, the continent was more or less one big desert and was surrounded by the Panthalasic Ocean. The most common rulers of the early Triassic was a small herbivore called Lystrosaurus. They thrived, among other places, in locations we now call Antarctica, China, and South Africa. The Lystrosaurus was a quadrupedal being, meaning it walked on four legs. It had a stout and compact body, and the legs were short. It had a beak-like mouth with no teeth in the front, but it did possess teeth in the back of its jaws. Its body shape was well adapted for terrestrial life, and it likely moved slowly, grazing on low-lying vegetation. The reason we are highlighting this exact animal is because the Lystrosaurus played a crucial role in the recovery of terrestrial ecosystems after the Permian-Triassic extinction event. It was one of the few groups of animals that managed to survive the catastrophic event, which had a severe impact on life on Earth. Its ability to endure the harsh conditions after the mass extinction and adapt to different environments helped it become one of the dominant terrestrial herbivores of its time. Also, life underwater was recovering. And although the mass extinction leading into the Triassic period wiped out a lot of the existing marine life, some aquatic beings managed to survive, including some of the thriving fish species and hard-shelled invertebrates. And a fun fact is that some of the very first oysters appeared during the early Triassic period. Fast forwarding to 247 million years ago, the Earth started to change into a more humid and subtropical climate. This happened due to the inactivity of the volcanoes that contributed to the mass extinction event, stabilizing the Earth's climate. The supercontinent Pangaea still remained as one, but a slight change in the position of the land masses had begun. The center of Pangaea also remained one big desert, but areas towards the coastlines were getting more tropical each year. This meant that the plant life during the mid-Triassic became more diverse compared to the early part of the Triassic. Conifers and cycads were still prevalent, but new groups of plants, such as ginkgos and early ferns, also began to appear. The Middle Triassic saw some of the first small dinosauriforms, such as the Dinosaurs, discovered in the Manda Formation of Tanzania. It is considered one of the earliest dinosaurs or dinosaur relatives known to science. As a dinosauriform, Dinosaurus is closely related to dinosaurs, but might not be classified as a true dinosaur due to certain anatomical differences. Its fossils date back to the Middle Triassic, approximately 240 million years ago, making it one of the oldest dinosauriforms known. Because of limited fossil evidence for this dinosaur, not much is known. But the Dinosaurus is widely believed to be a 2 to 3 meters long carnivore, which means it ate meat. Also, life under the ocean began to evolve and thrive, which meant that many marine reptiles began to flourish once again. This was species like Ichthyosaurs and Lariosaurus. But all this was only the beginning of life during this era. 10 million years later, we arrive at the late Triassic period, which spanned from 237 to 201 million years ago. The separation of the Pangaea had begun, and the northern part was drifting away from the southern part. The new landmasses formed two separate supercontinents, the northern part known as Laurasia and the southern known as Gondwana. In these years, the dinosaurs began to take over the landscape, and still early but more developed dinosaurs ruled the land. Here's a little story of what the world of the first dinosaurs was like. Once upon a time, in the late Triassic period, the world was a vastly different place. The supercontinent Pangaea dominated the Earth, and the landscape was filled with vast deserts and lush coastal regions. The climate was warm, with arid conditions prevailing in the interior, while the coasts experienced more humid and subtropical weather. In this ancient land, life was beginning to recover and thrive after the mass extinction that marked the end of the Permian period. Among the myriad of creatures inhabiting the late Triassic world, a remarkable group of animals was about to take center stage: the dinosaurs. In a dense forest near a river, a young Coelophysis hatched from its egg. It was one of the earliest dinosaurs, a small and agile hunter. As the young Coelophysis emerged into the world, it felt the warmth of the sun on its scaly skin. Its instincts kicked in, and it immediately started searching for food. Meanwhile, not far away, a group of Eoraptors, another early dinosaur species, roamed through the undergrowth. They were sleek and swift, making them formidable predators and excellent scavengers. As they explored the terrain, they noticed the young Coelophysis searching for food. With curiosity piqued, the Eoraptors approached the young Coelophysis cautiously. The Coelophysis, sensing no immediate threat, continued its hunt for insects and small reptiles. The Eoraptors watched in awe as the young dinosaur darted through the forest, showing off its agility. As the day wore on, a loud roar echoed through the forest. The Eoraptors and the young Coelophysis froze in their tracks. It was the call of a Herosaurus, the apex predator of the late Triassic. The Eoraptors and Coelophysis knew they had to be on high alert. The Herosaurus emerged from the thick foliage, its muscular form exuding power and authority. The Eoraptors and Coelophysis immediately recognized the predator's dominance. With the arrival of the Herosaurus, the entire forest seemed to fall silent. Instinctively, the young Coelophysis and the Eoraptors retreated, giving the Herosaurus a wide berth. They knew challenging such a fearsome predator would mean certain danger. The Herosaurus paid little attention to the smaller dinosaurs. It was a powerful hunter, but it was also intelligent. The Herosaurus understood that in this vast world, survival often meant avoiding unnecessary confrontations. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the forest came alive with nocturnal creatures. The young Coelophysis and the Eoraptors found refuge in the dense undergrowth, settling in for the night. They were just beginning their journeys in this late Triassic world, where the dinosaurs were starting to roam the land. Over time, the dinosaurs would evolve and diversify, becoming some of the most successful creatures to ever walk the Earth. Their presence would shape the ecosystems and lay the groundwork for the incredible diversity of life that would follow in the Jurassic and Cretaceous periods. And so, as the night embraced the late Triassic world, the dinosaurs began to leave their mark on the land, leaving behind a legacy that would endure for millions of years to come. In the late Triassic, survival meant constant vigilance and adaptation. These three dinosaurs, each with unique characteristics, thrived in their world of ancient giants and deadly challenges. The era of dinosaurs had only just begun, but disaster was already just around the corner. And then it happened. The Triassic era was at its end, marked by a devastating mass extinction event known as the Triassic-Jurassic extinction. The beginning of the Jurassic Period was beginning to show itself. Thanks for watching part 1 of this small documentary series. If you want to see part 2 about the Jurassic Period, then remember to like, subscribe and leave a comment down below.